All right, guys, welcome to the second episode of our Fresh Point podcast. Somehow we made it here. I'm joined today again with Connor and Julian. I guess if they want, they can go ahead and introduce themselves. I guess start with Connor.
Hi, I'm Connor. I still like boats.
And I'm Julian. I go by J-Dubs, typically on the internet. Boats are also pretty good, but it's gonna steal your intro. But yeah,
Nothing
much to say today.
Thanks.
And then again, I'm Kid, Burn One, all that stuff. So we're just gonna jump right into it. Today's episode is basically we're gonna talk a little bit about the Konosuba translation mishaps and kind of like the direction of English Weiss right now, as far as the company is going with Bushiroad and like growing it as a community. Then we're gonna jump into a little bit of our early thoughts on Kemono, and then after that we'll get into the ban list and the Japanese WGP stuff. So I guess go ahead and start off on Konosuba. So you guys enjoy the crazy translations this weekend with that set?
They are great, but I do believe they have now officially been errated. I wanted to get
7 erratas on 6 cards. Easy.
I wanted to play at least one tournament before they got errated. But
yeah, me too. I wanted to play the Magic build where the Megumin just straight up Akatsuki. I was like, dang, I'm gonna play this build now for sure.
it's not straight up Akatsuki.
Unfortunately,
it doesn't tell you where to put the card, so it has to go back to the top of your deck.
They did a errata where they changed it so where it tells you to put it into hand, but it didn't fix the on death part. They just made it on play still. And then they finally fixed it actually today, where it's on death now and to hand.
I think parts actually would have been like the Eris that was just 7,500 on play. I think just being able to blow up like anything with a 0/0 would have been really cool.
I think the Burn Clock Kick Megumin also didn't have the front row restriction either. So you could have kept that in the back row and had some fun with that.
Yeah, that would have been pretty good. It's funny because in the Japanese spoilers, they had that same thing and they errated it before release. So on release, it was fixed already. I think it's pretty funny that the English version had the same mistake, but they didn't fix it before printing.
I always wonder if there's anyone who goes and tries to check. You think for something as important as printing like a mass amount of cards, you'd have like a couple people heavily analyze and check for mistakes.
At this point, I'm pretty sure they have like actually no quality control, like at all.
Yeah, sometimes I don't even know if they have an actual R&D department at all, even for the Japanese ones sometimes with things they release. But but one thing with the English Bushiroad, at least, whenever they print something in English, has there even been one set yet released where there was not an error in one of the cards?
I think most of the Sword Art sets have made it out fine.
Only 2 of the first. I know the first set had some erratas. I want to say the second set had at least one.
Okay, the EBs made it out alive. I'm pretty sure Re-Edit made it out alive. I think.
Yeah, I do believe Re-Edit was fine.
Man, they only had like 7 cards or something to worry about in Re-Edit. It'd be amazing if they fucked up one of those.
I think Cinderella Girls might have made it out as well. I'm not 100% sure on that though.
Yeah, I don't remember anything really crazy about Cinderella Girls. But talking about the translations and stuff, like, I really hate that there's no quality assurance going on with these translations sometimes, because it really hurts the game if someone's new and they're getting into it competitively, but like half the cards are always errated. Like your card effects never say what, or like, have this correct effect, so you're always confused and stuff like that, especially if you've been playing it one way and then going into a tournament as a newcomer and you're just getting screwed by erratas you didn't know existed because the company keeps messing up the translations.
It is a big issue. It's actually an issue I still see somewhat often with people who had Sword Art cards from the first set. One of the major issues was that there's an event for Silica that would search out cards with Pina in its name, and it searched out cards and not characters, so you could search Pina's recollection climax. And I feel like every person I've ever seen play that deck searches the climax as like, no, it's only the characters. Even like as recently as like 4 months ago, someone playing the deck.
Dang. I know in SoCal when we got new players and stuff, I know some players got turned off from English because there's just so many errors in it. Even people who weren't in the Japanese format before, just like new players coming in, they would like kind of get into the game and then find out there's these constant mistakes happening on printings, and it like turns them off completely. Especially if someone's looking at a collector standpoint, for people who like to collect signed cards and stuff like that. It kind of sucks when like every card ever printed basically gets messed up somehow. The way Bouchard handles it, at least. What about you, Connor? Anything locally like that for you as far as like growing the English scene?
We have bigger issues with growing our player base, but erratas have not been a major one yet. I think most of our issues come from the fact that Weiss is kind of like, it's hard to stock as a store, just because like any set that you get in, like there may only be like 1 or 2 people out of even like a whole group that want to buy that specific set. So it's never really like too profitable to get in like a lot of product unless someone has like specifically asked for it and paid for it. So it's like, and then not having product on the shelves means that people aren't going to come in and see it, and it just creates this thing where like no one knows the game exists, so no one asks about it, so we don't get product in. But because we don't get product in, no one knows it exists.
Yeah, I think one thing about the game, I know like in Magic and stuff, they have print runs that go on for months, but I feel like as far as Bouchard products go, coming from someone who actually buys directly from a distributor and stuff and resells, you basically have your pre-order time frame, which is about 1 month before release. You have to get your pre-order in as a store, and then after that you have no idea if they're going to make another print run or not. So like with Konosuba right now, I want to get more Konosuba product in English because people have been asking for it and stuff like that. But the problem is at distributor level, at least the 2 places I go to, they're completely sold out, and it doesn't look like there's going to be another reprinting. And a lot of times I'll ask my distributor, I would want, if you get more of the X case in, I would buy an extra case or 2 if you have it, but they just never, get another print run of it.
I think the biggest issue for us getting new players into the game is actually more along the effect, how effects are placed in cards. What I will forever say is that the Sword Art re-edit probably the best design set, and every set should be looked to be designed similar to allow for cheap budget options. Various different decks. You can build like 6-7 different decks that are all easily like within $50 range with re-edit. May not be the best decks, but they can accomplish a job, and then still have your more expensive, more competitive deck. I feel like at this point in time, vanillas are just wasted slots that they just shouldn't be using, and should at least tie some sort of card effect to. And I think that in and of itself would help allow to bring more people into the game, because it's a big investment if you're not looking to play the game competitively. If you want to have a decent deck, you're going to need to spend at the minimum $200. If you want to have like your lineup of level 3s and like a couple utility cards, like maybe some sort of advantage engine.
Yeah, and I think you can tell in the recent Japanese sets that they are definitely moving away from vanillas. Instead of putting like 1 at every level in every color, they're just putting like maybe 1 at every level. But I think a large part of why Sword Art is so cheap is because a lot of those cards, it was the like 2nd or 3rd printing of, even after like numerous print runs of their original printing. And at that point, there's just so many copies of them, and so many of them have been outclassed by better cards that their price is just completely driven down. Cards that were like $6 or $7 fell to like 25 cents just because they were printed at like uncommon instead of double rare, and it was like the billionth time they've been printed.
Well, I think it's fine to have like print extra amounts of like bad level 3s that are in like common and uncommon slots, as long as you have like you still have the level 3s needed for like your staple meta deck. And I think that allows for just to have budget deck, because right now the only options you'll have for a budget deck is like mash 2 TD pluses together and like maybe grab the advantage combo from the set.
Yeah.
Luckily, and that's basically it.
Yeah, at least, you know, Bushiroad's kind of pushing the TDs again. I think, like, as far as the TDs go, I feel like every time I open up one, it feels like this is, like, could be a competitive deck a few years ago, kind of, when the meta was more like during, like, the Modica era and stuff like that. It has, like, effects like that, or, like, a lot of them have, like, bonds for apples, or, like, understated like plus combos and things like that. And all the level 3s like they print in the TD plus now are actually like decent. They're not horrible. You still see some of them actually get played in certain decks, like Konosuba uses the TD level 3 healer in some of the builds and things like that, and you still get like decent cards in the TD plus. So I think that's like a good way people can get in and get a fairly cheap deck that can do its thing basically. But yeah, I think in the Japanese too, though, definitely the newer sets, they're pushing less vanillas and more effects everywhere. So there's always more stuff. But in English, a lot of the older sets weren't like that. All right, then. Let's see. I think that pretty much sums up that for English, unless you guys have any other closing thoughts on English and like growing the community basically.
Nothing I can really think of.
No, I think apart from just maybe being a little more consistent with pushing out sets. I know a lot of people also like Persona 5 was like a really big property, and they were like, I'm gonna get in the game with Persona 5, like got the game for PlayStation. I love the game, love the series. I'm gonna get into Weiss with Persona 5, and then it gets delayed, and they're like, not so sure I want to get into Weiss. And I think if they would just be a little more consistent with stuff like that, maybe a little more transparent with why things are getting delayed. I don't think anyone's gonna be mad at them if they just say, there's a licensing issue. We're working on like getting the license like renewed. I don't think anyone would be mad at them for saying that, and it would really fix. I mean, it would at least let people know what's going on. I just think they need to maybe sort all that out and be a little more organized with it. Because nobody wants to get into the game if they don't know if the company's even going to be able to release stuff for them.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the reasons like the company's not as transparent as it could be is because they have to follow like basically a Japanese order of hierarchy, and so things got to get approved like way ahead of time, and they have to go through all the commands of everything and make sure everyone in the office is okay with it. And I do know like the USA branch of Bushiroad, I've been to their office a lot before. Like honestly, at most it's probably like a 10-man operation in the USA as far as their office here. It might even be less, honestly. I don't remember how many actual employees on hand they have, but it's a really small office. So,
well, yeah, because USA is just like it's just their like just marketing department, right? Marketing and like setting up the events.
Pretty much, and so everything else is probably run out of Singapore or Japan, most likely Singapore, from what it seems like. I think all the emails actually point to Singapore, right? So,
yeah, they do.
All right, so that's it for English Weiss, I guess. Hopefully, if they do a better job at quality assurance, maybe hire one guy to read the set right before release, or before they go to the printing press, at least. But let's go ahead and get our thoughts in on Kemono. Just released like this past weekend or last week, and we each at least got to play somewhat of it, or at least play against it. So I guess we'll start with you guys. What do you guys think about it? We'll go ahead with Julian, I guess.
Yeah, I think this set is very strong. It is. I don't think it's going to be as detrimental to the meta as, at least in terms of like the actual national tournament for us, as people are making it out to be locally. You'll say, I think at most, when it comes to Nats, probably 10 people who actually make it, who are playing the deck. I'm not sure what the numbers were for CG last year.
I think CG was 13.
13. So yeah, roughly 10, maybe 15 people playing it. Which is like in a 100-man tournament, which is usually what Nats is about. You'll probably see maybe one, unless they all doing really, really well. You'll probably see one on your way to top 8, and if you can just win that one matchup, you should be fine. And then so I feel like people are going to try to build too much towards countering that deck and forget about other things that still exist. It's a pretty consistent deck. If you're going for the advantage combo, you're going with the the Magro top 4, and maybe you splash the I think someone was splashing the Resonance just for as like a 3 of, just as a replayable bomb, or not bomb, replayable, just like assassin character. It's consistent, but I don't think it's too consistent.
Yeah, I think a big part of the deck is that you have to choose between whether you're going to do not very much consistently or something relatively impressive not as consistently. And you can tell playing the deck that the fact that they put the anti-burn in, they definitely took away from the rest of the set, and toned it down a bit. So it wouldn't be, I guess, over centralizing. I do think it's going to be one of the most played decks at Nats. I'm not sure that it has the power level to do so, but it's seeing a lot of hype, and I think that people are just going to be like, anti-burn shuts off a lot of things. Let's just play it. And a bunch of people are going to play it. So then you've got to be ready for it. Have backup plans. But as a whole, I don't think it's a super strong deck.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of really good skeleton builds in Kemono that you can run, and then maybe some people are getting in the trap of trying to put too much in one deck. The deck, I think, is pretty solid overall. Just having to be able to search out an event tap counter is pretty strong, which is the whole reason I got kind of hyped for the set. The anti-burn thing is pretty whatever to me. It kind of messes with the meta a little bit. It makes a lot of top decks right now kind of shift places, and depending on how many people are playing the burn deck, you'll see more Kemono, and then when there's more Kemono, then people will stop playing the burn deck, and it's kind of like that balancing act there you have to deal with, where if there's a lot of Kemono, we're not going to have those ping in gamers, and vice versa. But yeah, the set overall is pretty solid. I have no real complaints about it. I don't think anything's too oppressive in the set, at least what everyone else felt like from the beginning. I do absolutely hate, though, the fact that the memory, the anti-burn ping 1 thing, I hate that it's only 500 power. It makes it really hard to play around it. You're basically, if your opponent gets it, there's no way for you to really deal with it. I was thinking for a while you could run in Rewrite, they have the 500 power the clock bomb, but the problem is sending the card to memory isn't a cost, I guess, so they can still plus off of that, but you can still send it to clock, so they can't send it to memory, which is kind of annoying. But in that case, they'll just run it in.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah, I think it's important too that the anti-burn is a card that you would be playing it anyway for its search text, so it doesn't eat into your consistency, so forcing you to play the anti-burn. Like, it would have been a 4 of even without the anti-burn text. I think that's at least something good in the deck's favor. It is annoying to deal with because of the low power. It can just get around bombs like all the time. There are very few bombs with that little power.
I think most of the bombs that can deal with it are like the clock bombs that also have like the random ability to plus off the top, and like a couple other cards maybe.
Yeah, 500 power is like that really weird, awkward range where you would think having less power in this game is a detriment, but sometimes when it's that low, it's actually like advantageous for you to be that low. So is there like a certain build you guys are looking at right now you think would become the meta build, or just kind of all over the place right now because it's too early to tell?
So I'm not particularly sure about the meta build. The build I actually want to play, not particularly because it's meta, is actually the Owl early play build. I always like the search to climax combo level 3s. They just do a lot of compression from that. And I was thinking about maybe building a protect the owls type of build where you early play, because they can chain into each other. So you can early play them, play the climax, search cards out, and then do things like rest counter and bounce counter to just kind of keep them on the board without getting killed. And just try to just do like a heavy compression game. That was just something I was messing with as a fun idea. For meta, I think the probably staple meta deck is just going to be like at least currently, is going to be like blue-yellow with the Magro combo, rest counter, anti-burn. And you'll probably see some people with the stock gen. I think that deck, it depends on what you're trying to do with the in-game with the stock gen deck. Whether you can efficiently pull off getting everything you need, get the deck consistent enough to be a good like tournament run. I think if the deck is like snowbally but isn't consistent, then in like a 7-round tournament, you're just gonna have that one or two games that are just gonna basically eliminate you from the tournament.
I think Owls definitely fixes more problems with the deck than most of your other options. I think the optimal build will probably play Owls. I don't know if it'll play Magaro level 1 combo or the Trial Deck Search combo. It's going to need one of them because otherwise you just can't get your Owls.
I forgot about the trial.
And if you end up not being able to find your Owls, then the decks will definitely just fall apart. But some plussing combo to guarantee your Owls. The Owls provide you with compression to live, higher count damage in games. Anti-burn stops lower count ones. You're constantly searching for things. You can search for bonds to tap counter. You can search for more beaters. You can play the global character encore support and just search for stuff to discard for character encore across your whole board so that your characters live so you can tap counter next turn. I think it just gives you a lot of options and can help you just sustain until end game. And I think at that point, you're living like almost for sure, so you can just use like clock kicks and healers to sort of ride out the game. I think a lot of it just comes down to like what will the correct level 1 game be. You have to get the Owls. If you don't get the Owls, then you just don't do anything. And I think one card that I haven't seen too much that might actually help a lot with this is there's a 1/1 level assist. It's like pay 2, rest itself, salvage a green character. I think that might be a consideration as well.
Yeah, I was actually considering that card in one of my early builds too. But I was more on the side for the Rai combo where I want to stock charge a bunch.
I just feel like the only issue with stock charge is that you lose a lot of selectivity in what cards you're getting.
Yeah, for sure. I'm like running the global 500 support, and whenever you level up, pay to search, so that helps me just pick out my end game because that's all I'm really looking to do is have an end game hand together. Because at least for the build I'm running, I'm mostly focused on just attrition. I just want to live longer until my opponent kills himself, basically, because I'm going to be so compressed and they can't ping me for one. Though I don't know if that's like going to be the final game plan for the deck. Owls is very interesting. I haven't played with Owls at all, but it does have some conflict with the Raccoon combo, which is the only reason I'm playing the deck right now is because I like Arai. So
I'd actually forgotten about the TD Plus combo. I think if you're trying to do the owls for level 3, you might actually have to run that. Just so you have a more consistent way of getting the owls in the hand.
that combo, isn't it? It's like a 5k card and then combos with Wind Trigger, right?
I'm looking from the climate.
It is.
Yeah.
It's 5k base combos with wind.
That's kind of like the power level on it's kind of low, but I mean at the same time you're running this set that clocks itself a bunch to find shit. So,
well, you've got the Otter friend rare that pumps 4k on attack, and then there's also the back row serval that whenever you reverse something, you pump 1500. So your characters actually end up being very reasonable in power. You have like it's like a 10-5 on one of your serval lanes and like an 8-5 on the other, or something crazy like that. Like they're actually pretty good size.
so you say the Otter's gonna buff 4k, but in actuality it's just gonna reveal the event and you're just gonna cry.
Yeah, that's why you play only the important events. By that I mean tap counter.
What do you think of the 2-0 bounce the hand counter? Or is that even yeah, it's a counter, right? So
Yeah, I think it's like a find one of or something in owl builds. It has uses for sure. I think if you're relying on Otter, you don't risk it. I also don't think that deck has the slots open for it, because you have to fit the Otter and the back row serval.
I mean, you have access to that bug catching. What is it? What's her name? I don't remember the main character's name. Whatever.
Right, the Kaban Bond. That's why I think it's fine in Owls, because you play that as like a 3 to 4 of anyway.
Yeah, I mean, in the Owls build, then are we running the Raccoon combo? I feel like that's really weird.
I don't think you run Raccoon combo in Owls.
I mean, you're already running the plus 1500 because it has that effect when the 1500 attacker dies, you can summon the Raccoon from waiting room.
Wait, which card summons the Raccoon?
So the Raccoon has a combo when it's in the waiting room.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah,
That is the card.
that's what I was using. I was using that that as a beater at 0 to buff other things, and then when they kill it when I'm going to level 1, I just pitch a card and summon the Raccoon. So it's like I have the Raccoon in hand. It doesn't matter what I have in my hand.
I guess. I don't like. I mean, you get what, like two beaver searches in a game, and you Amagi a couple times. I just don't think you get enough access to all your cards, because you need 5, like, to actually do Owls how you want to do it. You need 5 specific cards in hand going into level 2, and I don't think Arai does that efficiently enough.
One thing I like about Arai, though, on your refresh, you hit a lot of climaxes when you brainstorm.
Yeah, probably.
I think every time I only played like 3 or 4 games with the deck. Every time after refresh, I would brainstorm, and I'd always like hit 2, like pretty consistently. But I mean, sometimes you just have nothing worth searching out of the deck either, which kind of sucks. So what do you guys think about the Penguin build?
It's not bad actually.
I think it's fine. I think
Yeah,
I think your ceiling, I think your floor is probably the highest out of all the decks, but I think your ceiling is not amazing.
it's serviceable, but not the.
It's functional.
Yeah, it's kind of like just like non-interactive dot deck. Your climax combo, your opponent can't deal with it. It just happens. You probably play the dolphins or whales or whatever they are that bounce back to your hand, so like you can avoid certain combos and things like that, and make it so your opponent has no choice but to either overswing or whatever.
I think you run into the issue of like at end game, you really want to keep 3 characters on board for tap counter purposes, and with it requiring like the specific field setup, you might not always be able to do that. But that's the biggest issue I can think of. The rest of the deck seems very consistent. Just seems like the ceiling isn't amazing. It's still fine. It's like a really cheap 5 attack end game combo, which there's nothing wrong with at all. Yeah, I mean, I haven't played around with the stuff yet, but it seems very fine. Japan seems to like it, but
Yeah, it was actually really funny.
Of course they
I was yeah, of course, but I was actually watching a lot of tournament matches or whatever from shop tournaments in Japan whenever I'm bored over the weekend, and it was really funny. There was one where the guy misread his card and he was bouncing the 1-0 back to his hand during his opponent's encore step. I was like, this is ridiculous. He just like +3 after they die on his opponent's turn. It's like, that's not how the card works.
Dolphin would be so good if it could do that.
That card would be broken.
It's already a good card. Like, I'm playing it at 4, but like the card's already really good because it's just a free plus. And you usually like giving your opponent a soul in like 1 lane usually doesn't bother you too much because you can just field like 2 climax combos on a dolphin. But
yeah,
it's just a nice plus. Like, and it kills things. It's a good card.
yeah, it's a solid card all around. But definitely, if it was printed the other way at any encore step, that card would be broken instantly. 4 of it every
That'd be
day.
insane. You just run +2 soul, run over your opponent, and then bounce them all back to hand. Do it again.
All right, let's actually talk about what the real meta build is going to be. It's going to be the Lion standby trigger build.
Uh,
I just want to build that deck for fun, actually. 'Cause I think
I
that's
want to build the
hilarious.
deck because I do have an affinity towards bad decks, so I do want that deck. But
Yeah. Any deck that
there's-
relies coin flips, I'm in.
Yeah, I was about to say there are enough coin flip cards that I think standby is actually probably not terrible. I think I can just probably do things because like you can summon the stock charger, you can summon the soul support, you can just summon all these things early. You never really care about maintaining hand much because your coin flippers are doing it for you. I don't know what happens at your end game. Like, I don't know if you're just like relying on triggering standbys.
Well, it has that on play, pay 1, top check 6, rearrange, and then discard 3 of them.
Well, I mean, like, you're gonna do what? You're gonna hit like 1 standby in top 6, probably, if that.
Well, you can only really hit 1 anyway, because if you stack 2 of them together, you'll end up playing over a character that's attacking, so then you'll have no soul damage, or one that hasn't attacked.
If it's the second card and the third card, you'll be fine. Because when you swing with your first one, your second attack plays over the first attacker, and then your third attack plays over.
Oh
the
wait,
second
yeah,
attacker.
you're right. I'm retarded. Yep.
Yeah, so you can stack 2, which is actually probably a decent finishing play.
All right. So red green, we compress
Doesn't
into
seem
lion.
like-
Red does have
But-
access to that really easy early play too that heals, which is just basically have 4 dudes on the field and then play early. And I guess any closing thoughts on Kemono then?
I think it's just a nice solid deck, decent for tournaments.
Yeah, have a backup plan in your deck for WGP. Like, don't go all in on your burn finisher because you will run into Kemono. And like I said, the deck's not like super top tier, but if you are just going all in on that one strategy, you might lose because of it.
Yeah. So I guess closing Kemono out. Let's tier wise. Like tier 1 would be like this is gonna be top 8 deck. You have to play it in tournament if you're looking to win. And like tier 5 is garbage deck. Where do you guys place it? I guess we'll start with Julian.
Tier wise,
Yeah.
I put it like tier 1.4.
Dang, not even 1.5. That 1.4.
A little bit better than 1.5, but I feel like it's not like it. I feel like it still has like a little bit of issues and can't just be like tier 1. It's like it depends on what you determine in tier, but
wherever you have Charlotte, just put it a little above that. Like,
I think it's a bit better than Charlotte.
It's gonna do the same thing as Charlotte. It's just a little better.
I mean, it's Charlotte with an actual finisher and rest counter. I mean, Charlotte has a. I guess it depends on what Charlotte build you're playing.
Yeah, no, I mean I agree. I think it's Charlotte with an actual costless level 1 plussing combo.
I think that was that set's biggest issue.
You have a top end, and you have a tap counter. So, I mean, like, the tap counter is probably comparable to the blue now, I guess. And you can't really heal loop as easily in Kemono. But, I mean, I think Kemono is, like, a very solid step above Charlotte, for sure. I just put it, like, a tier above Charlotte, wherever you have that.
And I don't have Charlotte very high.
I assume Charlotte's, like, 2.5 or 3.
Yeah, I have Charlotte around 3, I think.
3.
Like top of 3, bottom of 2 type of scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat.
I put this like tier 2 probably.
Yeah, I'm kind of same boat. I feel like Kemono's like maybe top of tier 2 just because of the utility it has and stuff, but it's not much better. I think the strongest thing about Kemono is that it actually kind of shakes up what I'd consider would be the top 5 decks of the format right now. Because most of the top 5 decks all have like that ping finishing ability, like so it kind of shakes it up a little bit. But yeah,
I'd actually put Kemono like 1 spot above Puyo, I think. Probably like directly above Puyo.
All right then. Well, let's get into the span list changes that are not really much changes.
Yeah, all those ban list changes.
I know it's shook up everything. Yep. So now that Nisakoi's top tier again, how are you guys gonna deal with Nisakoi overlords?
With Kemono.
Oh, okay. That was the easy answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think they should have took the free fresh off as well, at the very least. Like it should have just been, honestly, like it's you could make an argument to completely free it from the list. I'm not entirely sure you should, but you could make that argument.
I think I'm in the the group that's like there should be no ban list, but maybe put Marika at 2.
Yeah,
just to test the waters, and then hit it after.
Like you could remove it, and if it's a problem, emergency ban list.
Yeah, just bring it back down to 1, and then the deck is pretty whatever again.
I think the fact that Raku came off now is a pretty good sign that in the future ban list or 2, we will probably get at least the rest of the choice list taken off for Nisakoi. I feel like they did that with like 1 or 2 other sets where they just lessened the restriction and then took it off altogether.
So I know they did it with like Railgun, but that was over a course of like
20 years.
2 years.
Yeah,
But
something
might as well
like
have been 20.
Yeah, I think it's a sign that we will probably be getting Nisekoi off. Hopefully in February. I think if it doesn't make like a huge splash in WGP, they'll probably feel okay taking it off in February.
Yeah, that's probably what's going to happen, honestly. And then, I mean, taking Raku off the list too, I don't think it really changes the deck much anyway, because they already reprinted a Global 500 in EB that has Raku in the name. So if you really needed Raku in the name for the Marika level 1, you already had that as an option. Basically, I think it only added to the deck that you had an extra discard outlet.
It was helping the consistency because you play like Raku to bond the search event and then search out like the other piece of your level 1 combo that, or like
your pendants don't cost 2 stock anymore.
Yeah, basically your pendants don't cost 2.
Yeah, I think that's like good in certain matchups, but I think overall with how everything's going, I feel like even though Raku's off the ban list, you're still running the bonders in your deck because it's still an inherent +1 basically.
I agree.
I can see
your level 1 combo like barely not combo.
It's no longer good enough.
Level 1 game barely sustains anymore. So, like,
yeah, it's no longer good enough to be able to like guarantee like triple plus, like double plus. So like you actually do need that 1 stock plus into the.
You're not the only deck with 1065s anymore.
Yeah, I think the deck basically just plays like the 1-0 Marika that's like 7k with Raku now with the Raku support, and then just the gate combo probably. So, was there another change on the ban list? I just remember people talking about that one the most because it was so irrelevant. Was
Rabbit's backup.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh, okay, yeah. I know Connor believes in playing the level 3. What about you, Julian?
Totally the backnet level 3.
Yeah, you both have a level 3 plan. I feel like it's the choice
if you play
depends on meta.
Like, what are you actually doing if you're playing the backup?
If I wanted to make a deck based around that backup, I would literally just build some random railgun deck with, and then run that as a 4-of. Like, if you want to abuse a sat counter at level 1, then that's your deck. You go play railgun, you go build a deck based around it. Otherwise, you play like one of the strongest finishers currently, outside the fact that burn 1 now got negated. And
go play JC Choice Monogatari, or go play Persona with its like 2 clones of JC. Like, Gochiusa was by far not the only deck that could deny reverses at level 1. So like, you're just playing a deck that does decent things and then has absolutely no top end, and just falls flat if you choose tap counter or the sack counter.
And not only that, but like I had people saying they would have preferred to have the 0-0 Rize on the ban list instead of the counter. And I just don't understand why. Like, that just didn't make any sense to me.
I would rather Rize be on the ban list because I think it's a more logical and more actually thought-provoking ban list that makes you pick one of 2 good cards.
Well, no, like
if I played Gochiusa,
I'm saying
I would be very happy that I only have to swap out like 1 card in my 50-card deck list.
Well, I'm talking about people who played Gochiusa were saying they would have preferred to have Rize hit, and I didn't understand.
Yeah. No, that makes no sense to me. Rize is like your really good consistency card.
Yeah, that card's like, really good.
She's the one that should have been hit, but like if I played Gochiusa, I'd be super glad she doesn't get hit.
That's what I thought was going to get hit. I thought it was going to be Rize and the level 3.
Yeah, I feel like everyone that was following it was basically on that same line of thought for the ban list for Gochiusa.
Even Japan thought Rize was going to get hit.
Oh man, the R&D department just knows. But I think as far as your choice though, I don't really think it's like as black and white as you play the level 3. I think it completely depends on the meta. I mean, if like anti-burn stuff becomes really oppressive, like Kemono Friends is like 40-50% of the meta, then I think you just play the sack counter if you really want to play Gochi Usa, because I mean the blue top end is still decent.
I'm pretty sure you play a different deck at that point.
I don't think in the way this game works that there will ever be like, since I guess I can't say that because like Railgun existed and then Marika existed. So I guess I can't say that.
There will never be a meta where Gochi Usa is a very powerful deck without that finisher, unless they get more support. Like, the deck is pretty much every other deck without that finisher.
If you're playing for tournament
minus
play,
the top end. If you like rabbits, I don't know, go play green yellow with the sack counter.
I feel like if you're
playing for a tournament, play the finisher or don't play Gochi Usa, please. Like, you're doing yourself like a terrible mistake by just playing sack counter. That being said, the sack counter can probably stay in the other builds if for some reason you still want to play like Chimame or something, like whatever.
Yeah, I think the blue build is fine and stuff. You could still run the sack counter in that. It's clearly not as strong as running the red level 3, but I mean,
what was the finisher in the blue build? It was pay 3.
Burn X, where X is the number highest level on your field, and I think it had some other effect too. Or red has the burn 5 or something. I don't really remember.
That's in the Rabbit House deck anyway, though.
Was it pay 3 burn ditch 1 or ditch 2?
It's pay 6 burn 5 on the Rize.
Oh, okay. The other one was, I think it was pay 3 ditch 1 or something like that. What is there even ditch 1?
I'm pretty sure the Chimame blue level 3 is pay 3 ditch 1.
Yeah, which isn't that bad
with
of
a
a finish
pants.
either.
I don't think that's terrible, but
I don't think it's terrible, but it's a little resource heavy on the start.
Yeah, for sure. Man, so was there anything else you were surprised like didn't come off the list or wanted off the list?
I want well, actually, I don't want Monogatari off the list yet because I want to buy my set cards, and then I eventually want it off the list. It's like,
give me Kantai back.
Give him Kantai back.
What's on the Kantai list again? It's like 4 now, right? There's like the 0 that taps for power.
Hibiki, Hatsukaze, Z3, and Inazuma. Anti-heal, anti-salvage, on death Ricky, and the tap for 1500. Yeah.
And I think people would use the tap for 1500, right? That's what the people will see for the selection.
Honestly, like, I think that's probably the best choice, but
because you still get the pay 2 search and level up.
I've seen lists with everything. Like, actually everything. Like, Inazuma, if you're not playing Bismarck level 1, you probably play Inazuma, because it just helps your consistency.
Yeah.
Or if you... I mean, Hibiki is still good. Hibiki is still a plus. It's still anti-heal. So...
I mean, unless you're, like, unless you're getting, like, 2 of the, Inazuma searches, then, like... I think the Z3 is still fine, because you get your pay 2 search on level up. You hit more stock, but you don't take a damage. But I think that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, I like Z3 also because, you play the 1-0 stock charger when you reverse something. And then you also play the 1-0 back row that's like global 500, but when you use the act, it like buffs something like 1,000 or something also. So you're putting a lot of power on the field on your turn. And then when you use the backup too, you're like spreading power all over the place again. Which is, I think is really strong.
This is actually a question. What backups do you guys choose to use in that build?
I play 2 costless level 1 backups of whatever
just the
color I need
ones?
fixing for. Yeah, just 1/0/15s.
Because I know
whatever color I need fixing for, and then I play 1/1/1/2/5 counter.
Yeah, same.
Because I think first set has the 1/0/2K green counter, but you have to reveal your hand.
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
Well, so my real question is, how often does that really matter? It's only bad when you have 3 climaxes.
I don't even think it's bad when you have 3 climaxes. I think it's bad even when you don't have any, because just giving your opponent free information is really bad in this game. I think because it could potentially set them up to do the correct attack order, or
I guess, yeah.
Or like, you know,
Kantai is a deck that doesn't want the opponent to know how many counters you still have in your hand. Like
That is a good point.
it's a really big like.
I guess if you're playing the act build,
to assume you have the counter.
that is a good point. Other than that, because I just always thought it'd be hilarious to run that, but 500 power problem. And what else is on the ban list?
oh, IMAS. Anyone care about CG?
I'm perfectly fine at staying there. Not it doesn't probably doesn't need to be there, but I'm perfectly fine at being there.
Yeah, I like CG could come off and I wouldn't care, but I also don't want to deal with like 35% representation rates of having to just fight the same deck over and over again.
There's just a lot of idle fans where I live and like play the play
Yeah.
groups I play with. So
Yeah, I think that's generally everywhere, right? I mean, everyone in my group, like half of them, like love idle decks and only care about idle decks. Same thing when I was in California.
yeah, I think like 6 people in Columbus own CG, and then like I'm not even sure how many people own CG over where you're at.
0. Oh yeah.
Nice. What a great place to live.
So pure.
It's okay. When the alchemy deck comes out for Symphogear, I'm just gonna destroy all the idols.
It's okay.
That
There
is-
are 3 alchemy decks at my locals.
I think we have 2 in our locals. My roommate and then a friend of mine.
So as far as the CG list goes, what do you feel like everything except for like Komei and the Rin level 0 could come off the list?
I'd like to see Ricky off next ban list. Just take Ricky off and leave the other 3. Make TP suffer still.
Basically.
Like yeah, because like if you take Ricky off, you're at least like the other decks can play like Ricky Komei. Like Asterisk I guess can play Ricky Komei, and like yellow build can play Ricky Komei if it wants Komei. And the Uzuki deck can play Ricky Komei, which is probably relevant.
Man, Ricky Komei. If I could play those two together, I think I'd play Cinderella Good Stuff a lot more, even though I like already played that deck a lot. I think Komei is one of those weird cards. It's like just like really, really good if you have other good utility in the deck, especially if you have like really good plussing combos at 1. Or even when you're playing a deck that doesn't have blue gate or ways, to just get the climax more consistently to your hand.
Komei is super good with stock soul level 1 games. Which,
Oh yeah.
funnily enough, I think is like just TP. The yellow one might be a stock soul. I don't remember.
Which yellow one?
The stock combo. I think that's a stock soul that goes with that stock gen combo with yellow.
Oh, actually, yeah, I think it is. I think
Like
Audrey played
the
that deck
massive
multiple times.
1-0 in the second set.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one you're talking about.
I do believe the stock gen combo gets a lot of power. It has literally no power on defense.
I'm pulling it up right now. I'll let you know in just a second.
Oh wait, are you talking about the
It's
on attack?
It's on attack. Pay 1
Yeah.
surge and 2k power.
Okay.
I don't remember what climax that's with.
Oh, I think it is with the stock soul.
What's the combo I was thinking of with?
You're thinking the one from I think it's from set 1 with Azusa. No, is it that her name? Or
The stock trend should be from set 2.
Is it from set 2?
Yeah.
I don't remember, but I know which one you're talking about. I've played against it a few times. It's pretty silly.
Confirming that the search combo is a stock soul. Relevant.
The search combo's from set 1, correct?
No, set 2.
Is it set 2 as well?
Yeah.
Then the other one probably isn't. I'll have to take a look later.
You're talking about the one where, like, if your opponent cancels, then you get to, like, generate 3 stock
like,
or something?
2 stock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Actually, I think that combo's a +2 soul.
It might be, actually. But anything else on the ban list or something you guys want to see on or off besides that?
You should free all of Monogatari. Maybe to keep the zero.
Real talk there. Like free Monogatari just so that they won't be scared to print it.
That's my real reason. I want it in English.
Yeah, I really want that deck in English too, so I can make everyone sad.
I had like 4 or 5 like side decks, just like fun builds built, and every single one got hit by the ban list.
Beautiful.
The yellow stock charge combo is from set 2, and it is also with a yellow stock soul.
Okay, so I was
man.
right.
It's a lot of stock.
But yeah, I think ban list is relatively fine right now. I think the Capo 2 choose 1 can probably come off next time too.
Oh no, I might be because I have PTSD against that deck, but I had a friend, Uichi from California. He played a lot of DC decks, and every deck he played that had blue, I can guarantee at level 2 he's gonna heal 6 at 2/6 like every game because there'll be like 2 of those swimsuit Anzus or whatever in clock, and then he just like xylophone, heal 4. Oh, end of turn. Oh, there's 2 of these. Let me just heal that. I mean, that shit is like way too depressing when you can like pay 2 and heal 3 or 4 in one turn.
I think the deck like wants it to be like super relevant again. Like I don't think it makes the deck unbearably strong. I think it makes the deck probably a high tier again. Like it's already sitting in a good spot, but like I think it puts it up there with like the really good decks. If you take off its 2 choose 1, probably. It might not even do anything. I don't know. I don't think it would be a disaster to take it off though.
I don't think it'll be a disaster. I just feel like it's one of those things where like if you're playing it, you feel super good, but if it happens when you're playing against it, it's like the worst thing in the world, and there's no real way around it because your opponent can kind of manipulate his clock the way he wants. Was there any shifts in the new DC or what is the new set called? I forget.
I don't think there are any alarms.
Oh, okay. Because if there was like some blue shifts, I'd be really hesitant about even taking that off then.
I think Haruhi needs to be completely removed from the ban list. There's no reason either of those cards should be even in a choose, let alone be banned.
2-0 counter definitely needs to come off because it's like it's the one thing that makes Haruhi. It gives you a reason to play Haruhi as like a competitive deck because it does something that other decks can't do. Like
I think
it's what makes it unique. Otherwise, the deck is just a really boring vanilla pile of cards that doesn't accomplish anything.
I think Haruhi's cards are so bad that there's no reason to have World with Faded Colors on the list either.
I also agree with that. But I think the 2-0 is like the bigger thing. Just like on principle, it shouldn't be banned because
it's more important for a competitive list. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it makes the deck unique. It gives you a reason to play it, and I don't think they should ban something that is like the sole reason you should be playing a deck.
I think the worst part about that ban is that they didn't really give it a chance to like get into the meta and see how everyone would react to it, right? After they released that new Haruhi power up, because they were just so afraid of it right from the start, or they're like it's against like the way we're trying to shape the meta in the game already, which is like unfortunate. I wish they would just like let things rock. Especially this was like at the beginning of the year, right? When a lot of the tournaments don't actually matter because they don't go towards nationals or anything. They should have just let it.
Yeah, they announced it at the end of last year, like November or December last year, and then it went into effect in like February with the regular ban list.
Yeah, I think that's like the time if they're going to experiment with the ban list. It should be early on. That way they can let like things rock, see how it plays out on all their major tournaments and local tournaments and stuff like that, and see if this was really a good idea or not. And then when you hit up right before WGP that year, you would just put it back on if it was a problem. Otherwise, just keep it off. I think that's another thing too to bring up about the ban list timing is that I feel like when they release the ban list, they should, for at least a few weeks before and after, they shouldn't have any new sets released. Like the ban list came out right like at the same time as Kemono Friends came out, without seeing how Kemono would affect the meta at all when you're printing this like anti-burn 1 card in the set.
I think it's fine because even if you gave it a couple of weeks, I don't think that's actually enough that's enough time for people to see what it does, see how to react to it, and test different ways to get around it. Whereas I think the way they do it now, or they give everything an entire season, and they see how the tournament season plays out, and then ban for the next season based on the previous one. I think that's actually fine because it gives you like a 6-month period of time to, I guess like a 7-month period of time for the sets that come out right before, because they're not going to touch anything that comes out like right before the ban list.
I can agree with
so
that.
Like a 6 to 7 month period of time for people to actually like play against it, adapt to it, and see if it's something that still needs to be hit after people adapt to it.
I totally agree with that, except the fact is if you're printing a set at the same time, you're hitting a set that's strong because of its end game, and you're printing the set that has something that completely counters that end game. Like, you don't have time to see if the meta shifts at all. Maybe at that point, now that Kemono Friends is out, people can still play Gucci-Usa, but then the representation will be a lot less. It'll come down from like, it was like at 30+%, right? So it'll drop down to half. It'll be like only 15% of people are playing it now, just because Kemono exists. Kind of the same way how Splinter Twin was like the deck in Modern for Magic. For those familiar with Magic, that would stop a lot of other oppressive stuff from coming out, just because you have to keep in mind that Splinter Twin could potentially win on turn 4 of every game that you play against in Modern. That way you have to always keep lands open and stuff like that, or certain resources open, so you couldn't always just like all in on some impressive stuff.
I think Kemono might have been part of the reason why they went so light on the Gochi-Usa restriction. Because like realistically, this does like almost nothing for the Gochi-Usa restriction. It does almost nothing to the deck. So I think that might have been why they did that, is just so they could still sort of see an almost full power Gochi-Usa against Kemono. And then if Kemono doesn't stop it, you at least maybe have a little less than the like overwhelming amount from before. It was close to 60% representation in trios.
But it wasn't winning that often, was it?
It was like 55% representation and like 45% cut rate.
Okay.
In trios though, right?
Insane. Yeah, that was in trios. In Neo Standard, it was, I've got the number. Give me 1 second.
I think you got to treat trios and singles like completely as like two different beasts completely, honestly.
Well, from what I hear, more of the competitive people play trios now. Like the
during spring season, competitive players play trios, and then during WGP they play Neo Standard. But Neo Standard, it was 21% representation and 11% cut rate. So even among the people that don't care as much, it was a fifth of the field and a tenth of the top cut field, which is still a rather large chunk.
That's
So it
one.
is worth noting that like it definitely falls off. Like in Neo Standard, it was at least falling off between like how many people played it and how many people cut with it.
Yeah, I think around that time too, everyone's still like building their deck around playing Gochiusa.
Yeah, for sure.
I wish that's one thing that would get adapted into the US stuff is that I wish there was like trio events here because I think trios is a way more fun format and while still being really competitive.
I'm actually sad I didn't get to go to that Chicago trio tournament. Our ride had to do like schoolwork or something. So
Rip. I wish I went too, but at the same time, my locals the same date, so I was just screw it. I went to my locals instead to play test Konosuba.
I heard you made like the was it tricolor, blue, yellow, red, or was it just blue, yellow?
Oh, it was blue, yellow, red. Yellow is the splash color, basically. But that deck did really well. I went to 2 events. One was the English only event where I got first in that. The finals was me versus Titans, and Darkness like shat on Titans really hard because anytime they just pinged me for 2, I just paid for the ping 2, and then I was like ahead of level the entire at that point anyway at 2. And then my locals where it was like Japanese mix, I played against Ray Zero in the finals, and oh man, I forgot what happened. I don't know. It was like a scenario that was like pretty dumb where, it's kind of like the numbers were in my favor, but I still kind of lost. I don't remember the exact scenario, but yeah, the deck was pretty solid in both tournaments, so I was pretty happy with how it turned out. So wait, what were we on again? The ban lists?
Ban list. I don't think there's anything else to talk about particularly on the ban list. Maybe I think people are good enough at playing this game that you can remove Shining from the ban list, but that's not really too big of an issue. Because Cyril changing clothes, I think, was hit for slow play. People would take too long to decide whether they want to heal or not. But I think at this point in time, people are good enough at the game that shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, that was it got banned really early, right? Really early on.
Yeah.
I don't think the issue was that people weren't good enough at the game. I think the issue was just that it was a means to stall, and it was an actual like valid decision to make that just allowed you to stall.
Oh,
I really think the only decision you make is, did I trigger a climax on my second climax? If yes, might as well play it out and get that heal.
actually, I think I remember the article was the reason they said the slow play was happening was because people would take time to decide where they want to put the 1,000 power on opponent's draw step, I think, or something like that, right? I remember it being something like that. It was like that was like their explanation at the time.
Yeah, like it was just something that was causing lots of slow play. It's like that'll never come back. Probably Akinari will probably never come back just because
Free Akinari.
Whoa, no.
Like,
No, don't do it. But
As much as I want to play top deck the game.
I love top deck.
You could free Akinari and literally nothing would change because Persona Neo Standard cannot abuse Akinari. It has no way to abuse Akinari, like realistically. So like nothing would change, but they're not going to unban him just on principle that they don't want a card with such easy like hand destruction skill existing.
Well, I mean that same exact card is in DC actually, but
okay, it's a little different in DC.
Yeah,
The DC one is hexproof and triggers when you frontal attack it.
was it hexproof? I don't remember it being hexproof.
It is hexproof. it's a 1/1, and it's like super small, and it's hexproof. And when you frontal attack it, you have to drop a card. But you can play around that one a lot easier.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
have to drop 2 for Akinari, don't you?
No,
You drop one.
Is
You
it this
drop
one?
one, but it's
What's
when
the
he
one?
it's when he goes to waiting room, and he goes to waiting room when you level up.
Oh, yeah.
like, there's
You can just keep-
actually yeah, you can just never frontal attack the salmon thing, and you're fine. But you cannot do anything about Akinari going to waiting room. But I mean,
Well, I think there's so much advantage currently in the game that it wouldn't matter.
Exactly. But like Akinari saw wide play in standard because there were ways to abuse him in standard, and he was banned when standard was still a large format. Whereas the Da Capo one, there was no real way to abuse that, so it didn't see as much play in standard, and therefore never needed to get banned. There's also like an event that forces your opponent to discard in Da Capo, but like stuff like that just never saw enough play to get banned, and at this point, it never will see enough play to get banned. But they're just not going to let something back, even if it's not going to change anything. They just don't want the card back on principle. They don't want to be like, well, we let this card back, so I guess it's okay if we print another hand destruction card. They just don't want that to exist.
That's understandable. I say this, but I've been in the middle of building a commander deck for Magic that just makes everyone discard their hand.
Well, I guess that's it on the ban lists. I guess we'll close this one out with all right, besides what obviously are like just strong solid sets overall, what do you guys think are going to be like some choice decks to take into WGP this year?
So my choices were going to be Kill a Kill, Sword Art, and Konosuba. I think they have just overall decent matchups into basically everything coming into the what are popular sets coming into tournament play. With like Sword Art's biggest weakness being whether it gets some cards it needs at level 0 and like having a somewhat high burn finisher that might cause issues against compression decks. And I think that being the similar issue for all those decks is like their level 0 lineups. Konosuba's level 0 lineup was fine. But I think the burn 4 is an issue if you're going that build, and if you're going the blue variant, then if level 0 lineup has some consistency issues, since you typically want to hold the 0/0, the early play condition, unless you have 2 of them. And then Kill a Kill, to really get its level 0 lineup rolling, you need just multiple cards in hand.
What about you, Connor?
I think the answer is probably different for me for whether you're looking at like regional qualifier or NAT. I think for a regional qualifier right now, I would either take Vivid Strike or Kemono, just because both of those decks function a lot better when you know that you have a good matchup against the very small field you're competing against. And it's a lot easier to know almost the entire field that you're competing against. Whereas at Nats, like, I'm gonna know what maybe like 5 people are playing before the tournament. Like, there's 104 invites before LCQ. So like, there's no way I'm gonna know the entire field. And there could always just be some like random deck like Osamatsu that just comes out of nowhere and wins things. I say for Nats, I feel like I'd much rather take something like, say, Gochiyusa or Kantai or Rewrite, something just more stable and just a generally good deck rather than something that has a very high ceiling with good matchups and a low ceiling in bad matchups. Or a low floor, rather, in bad matchups.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. Like when we're doing just the regionals, I think that's a completely different thing than the actual nationals. Just because most of the people that are coming out to your regional, you already kind of have an idea what they're playing, so you kind of already know what your local meta is and what kind of round you already is. But as far as nationals go, I honestly think, like I also agree. I think Konosuba is a pretty solid deck that's worth thinking about taking. One other deck that didn't get mentioned, I think Persona 5 could be a really solid deck, especially if we're looking at Kemono being like the boogeyman right now. I'm not really looking to end the game with finishers when I play Persona 5. I'm more of looking just to stall the game for a long time, which the set can do easily.
What you do is you tech the Persona Q green level 3 that burns 4 if your opponent has cards in memory. So against Kemono, you're just like, hey, let me burn 4 real quick.
That is an option. One thing, too, I don't know if it's the same in your guys' meta or not. I don't know what kind of representation Sword Art Online.
Persona also has that bomb from the first set that sends events to memory. So you can memory their tap counters. Easy.
Oh, shit, you're right. I totally forgot about that card. What color is that card?
Red.
Red? Oh, man, I'm already playing red? All right, I'm playing Persona 5, guys. I like the bomb it has too in Persona. You can always take it as like a one of. It's like the 1/1 that kills anything higher level than it, or higher level than its opponent, or than your opponent. So you can kill, like if you're playing against like Sword Art or something, or other sets that play things early at 1 or 2. It's like good all game kind of.
You're wondering about the Sword Art representation, I think, or
yeah, that's what I was talking about. I forgot already. I don't know about you guys, but the representation for Sword Art here is like non-existent unless we're playing English, because I feel like everyone bought that set in English. I don't know about Japan really. I see that set come up a lot in shop tournaments there, but over here it's like non-existent.
So over here, basically everyone but me convert their Sword Art to Japanese. They all like sold out of their English Sword Art and converted to Japanese, because I think a lot of them just didn't like where the English game was going. So there's like at least 3 Japanese Sword Arts at my shop.
Do they play Switch or do they play Xenon?
I'm not sure what one of them is playing. I know the other one plays Xenon. I think the other 2 play Xenon. I can't remember exactly what the third one's playing.
I don't know why this reminded me of it too, but in Persona they have a counter that sends things to memory too, so that's like another way to ruin restand combos. In Persona, at least.
Persona has so many good events.
We're just gonna play anti-Kemono Persona. That's gonna be the call for Nat.
Or
you just gotta play until you
Persona good stuff. Anti-Kemono friends.
So here's the plan. Let's all work really hard to convince everyone that Kemono is the best set and you have to play it if you want to win. And then we just go in there to play our like 5 Kemono matchups in a row to top 8.
How many Kemonos were in your area?
Including myself, I think the total is 4 or 3. But I mean, my play group's not that big at the same time. Sometimes it's big, sometimes it's not.
I gotta go over there to play for your regional though, so that's I gotta deal with that.
Yeah, have fun.
Luckily, the only person who actually bought it in Columbus doesn't actually play in WGP tournaments because he just doesn't like traveling. So
nice. Too bad that my regional is happening the same time as Card Academies. I'm hosting a regional in my city.
Yeah, you are hosting one directly for you.
Yeah, which is cool and bad at the same time. I really want to go out to Card Academy again, but
it's okay. Mine is at the same time as the closest English regional. So I'm losing players to Jacksonville.
I think I'll be in Jacksonville most likely too. You should just quit that Japanese shit and just come to English and hang out with me.
Yeah, man. Easy. Done. I'll just find someone else to run the tournament.
Easy. Just do it remotely.
Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if I was in your area, I would totally take the English event over the Japanese event, just because the payoff is bigger for the English event. And then like Last Chance Qualifier in New York or whatever, it usually has like 10, 15 slots, doesn't it? Something ridiculous like that.
It's 8 plus.
It's usually there are 8 guaranteed to make it in, and then they just fill in the rest of the slots for people that qualified and didn't show up.
So
Sometimes it's like 20 slots.
we actually got some info. The slots, and this is, I hope people are actually listening for this. He will actually increase the slots based on the amount of people who pre-reg for last chance. So like if you get like, because what ended up happening is like, because last year we only had like actually like 80 something people for the actual national tournament, and that's because basically no one pre-ordered for last chance, and he had told us that if like everyone who showed up for last chance would have pre-reg for last chance, that there would have been probably like 120 slots or something like that.
Ooh, I think that's. I hate how they handle last chance qualifier for this event. Like they just fill in extra slots. I really think if you get the event and you don't make it to Nats, like you shouldn't give up that slot to anyone else.
You know, Nats the last 2 years has been, I think, 80 flat, both of the past 2 years, and there have been like 80 to 84 invites. So I think the fact that there's also like just 20 plus more invites, even not counting LCQ, I think that's pretty big. There are 104 before LCQ.
So what it looks like they did is like all the bigger play groups got 6 slots, all the medium-sized play groups got 4 slots, and then all of like the less represented or smaller ones got 2.
It's a lot of it's based on how many players you send to nationals. So though like the Georgia regional last year, nobody from it went to nationals, so I'm not sure. I guess they might have gotten 4 just because they're so close to my group, and we always send like more than we have qualify. But we think 4 because we send people consistently. But like groups that never send anybody are just gonna sit at 2.
I think Columbus sent like 12.
Yeah, that's why they've got slots.
I mean, we had 4 last year, I think, as well.
Yeah, they don't like giving out 6, just because like it's a lot of invites for one place, and people were getting mad at the Rochester one for having 8 for themselves, like to begin with. So if you notice, they bumped down to 6. So like, actually listened.
I was actually kind of upset because if you looked at it was either this last year or the year before. If you looked at some of the lists that qualified, someone was playing like full on 100% dedicated Makoto waifu. Like there is no way. Like I don't think that deck should have placed that high unless they just didn't have anyone actually show up. Like to the point where they're running vanillas at level 0 to make sure that every card is Makoto.
Last year, Toronto actually stole 6 out of the 8 slots at Rochester.
So, like, I think them dropping the 6, I'm not sure what their normal play group size is, but like, them dropping the 6, I think is a bit more fair. I think one of the Canada stores got 6, Family Time Games got 6, someone in California got 6, and I think then Rochester got correct.
Yeah, I think that's about it.
I didn't know there was one in California that had 6, but the other 3 definitely do.
Actually, what happens a lot in Southern California, because there's so many stores right next to each other, I don't know why they do this. They decide to run like 2 or 3 events and give them all 2 slots, and they all run on the same day. And they say it's because of size limitation, usually, because most of the stores there can only hold like 40 players max.
Yeah, none of them, they're all 2 in California except for one. One has 4. But yeah, they do it to prevent overcrowding because there's too many players for everyone to fit in one store most of the time. Because like the stores have to send in like how many players they think are going to show up and how many they can seat. And say you have 2 stores that are 15 minutes away from each other, both say they're expecting like 40 players and they can only seat 50. Chances are those aren't the same exact 40 players. So like if all like say 60 to 70 of those players go to one location, they're not going to fit. So they do it just so that it spreads people out and they don't just like overcrowd one store and have to turn people away.
I wish one thing I really dislike about the regional qualifiers for the Japanese side for America is that you can't really stop players from joining the event if they have no intention of going to nationals.
Yeah. I think that's like we usually ask that if you're not sure, just don't join. If you want your promo, we can give you your promo. Like we can have you signed up to make sure you get your promo, but like if you can't make it to nationals, please like just don't play in the event and take a slot, and then that slot goes to last chance, and then
If you think you can win Nats, just win your regional. Easy. But no, I agree. Like, Nats is cool. And I think, like, as many people that actually want to go should be able to fight for the opportunity to get to go without people, like, that just have no intention knocking them out. Which is why I always like a lot of the qualifiers I go to. They run the qualifier, and then they also just run like a regular tournament after. So that, like, everyone that showed up gets to play. So like, you don't want to go to Nats. Like, if you know you're not going to Nats, just sit out the qualifier, and then we'll throw everyone in like a $5 tournament or whatever afterwards.
All right, little story time. This reminded me of one time I went to Northern California for a regional with some of my friends, and I think it was the night before or the day after the regional. I forgot which one it was. We actually hosted a trio event, right? But we made the rule that you can just play multiple of the titles or whatever, because we only had like 20 people who were interested. So we're like, there was like only six teams or something like that, 6 or 8 teams. And we're like, it's okay if you play all the same title. It doesn't really matter. We're just doing this for fun. And like the winning team just takes all the cash, basically. I remember being in that event, and one team from NorCal played 3 Nisekoi in their team when it was unbanned, and they didn't make top 4.
what?
Yeah, I was just like, this is the saddest thing ever. They lost to my friend's like troll build. He had a Kemono troll build. He was playing for his team, and he beat them and stuff. It was like the saddest thing ever. Like seeing that happen. Like, how do you play unbanned Nisekoi as a team of 3 and not win one of your games?
That takes some skill.
Definitely does. All right, I guess unless you guys have any other closing thoughts on the regionals and stuff.
I was actually going to say, is there any set that you think is going to be like the dark horse set of the tournament? Like a set that people just like doesn't get talked about. Most people don't really know what the set does, but it's like a really good set.
Chain Chronicle.
That's what I was thinking. Chain Chronicle.
Man, I played against Chain Chronicle a lot because
absolutely Chain Chronicle. That deck is amazing.
Which variants do you play?
Which version?
Yellow.
So, I like yellow blue personally. The people at our locals who own the sets actually prefer blue yellow. They like the kind of hand traps you can set up with the blue level 1 game. Since they have, it has a 1K counter. It also has digicards.
Why aren't you just playing Kantai?
Because you can cycle the same counter, basically. The 1K counter has digicard to pull the counter back. So you always have counter in hand.
I mean, you play doors and search combos in Kantai too. Like, you always have counter in hand in Kantai. It's just a weaker Kantai, the blue build.
That's just what the people who own it locally like to play.
Yeah.
I personally think yellow blue is better. You can basically +2 off of just playing a climax, let alone the fact that you have an on-reverse search combo.
You play down to like 2 cards in hand at level 1, and you end your turn with like 8. It's amazing. Like, and you have enough ways to pump soul that you don't actually care that you're like 3K1 climax.
And you're almost guaranteed to do double combo because you can
Yeah.
search out the assister that searches out the climax.
Yeah, exactly. Like it just runs so smooth. I assume your blue is for the level 3 Teresa, the like mill and burn for soul triggers or whatever.
Yeah, I use that as like a secondary finisher.
I considered that. I might put that in now that, like, if Kemono gets big, I might put that in.
Which card is that?
It's a blue level 3 double rare. It's like mill 9, I want to say.
Oh, okay, I know what you're talking about. For some reason, I thought you were talking in yellow.
No, yeah, it's blue. And you burn for like however many soul triggers you mill.
And you can stack Fatimas onto it as well. So
Yeah, I might put that in if Kemono gets like really popular. Right now, the only blue I'm playing is the level 3 killer. I'm playing 2 copies of the blue level 3 killer, I think.
yeah, I think the list I had out was 4 Riki, 2 of the level 3 killer, 2 of the level 3.
That makes sense. Yeah, I'm just playing the 4 Rickies and the 2 level 3 killers. And then the everything else is yellow with the spicy bounce event.
Was the bounce event 2-3 or what was it at? It's that dragon event. Right?
It's no the dragon is like it's a counter that kills something.
It's the ship, right?
The bounce event is
It's a 3-2, right? Or is it 2-3?
It's a 2-2. It's a 2-2.
2-2, yeah.
It's bounce opponent's front, middle, and both of their back row slots, and it doesn't target.
Man, that's too spicy for me.
As much as I'd like to use that card, I feel like if you're trying to do it in combination with like your typical in-game setup, you're not going to meet the stock threshold.
Dude, bounce encore assist and a Yami.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Easy. No darkness counter in center lane. No encore. Gotcha. But like, it gets rid of an early play sometimes.
Yeah.
And it can get rid of problematic back row. You can bounce Futaba. Nice. Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Bouncing Futaba is pretty nice.
Man,
And just various things like that.
I feel like you guys are baiting me into yellow Chain Chronicles now.
You can bounce Fuka because it doesn't target. And you also bounce the Einhart out of back row, so you bounce one Fuka and then kill the other one. Yeah. There you go. Just Chain Chronicle things.
Oh man. Any other Dark Horse sets?
Trying to think what came out. What came out earlier in the year?
Oh man, we're in their Excel world.
Stuff that's definitely not Dark Horse. Like ReZero, Rewrite, Sword Art.
Yeah, I guess
maybe Sunshine. I don't know how many people have caught on to like +2 Soul Sunshine yet.
I guess that could be like a Dark Horse set. It's like people play it, but like I actually make it a point to just not pay attention to idle sets half the time. So,
Yeah, I really like the +2 Soul Sunshine build. I actually don't really play it locally, so like no one else really picks it up. But I guess after this, people might pick it up.
Yeah, I think most people that play Sunshine right now are still playing like the level 1 bomb combo or like
Or the
various
Dia.
other things like that. They're not playing like Mari coin flip with 2 souls. Yeah, or they're playing the Dia. They're either playing like the Dia pants or the Chica stock soul.
Yeah.
Like they're not playing the 2 soul with Mari.
Yeah, my build right now
Amazing.
for just playing locally and for fun is basically really hard on coin flipping. It's the 1-0 Mari and level 1 Dia combo, and a lot of coin flips happen in that deck. And if you win a lot of coin flips, you like snowball the win. If you miss all your coin flips, you just cry all game.
I would totally build the deck right now, but it's like outrageously expensive. Like just random card. Like it's just like your whole level 0 lineup is like 1,500 plus, and your Musashis are like 2K. It's like no thanks.
Yeah. I didn't even realize how expensive that deck is. But yeah, I think what Japan's really really on still on the level 1 suicide combo. And they just play early play what's her name? I hate her. The main girl's name that summons Yo. Chica, that's her name. I hate Chica.
Yeah,
but
Chica.
Yeah. Everyone's basically on that build for the most part.
They're either playing that or they're playing the Zura early play, which I'm okay with because Zura's best girl. But
Yes, thank you. All right, I got to give you admin after this for liking best girl.
The deck's not as expensive as I thought. Runners are 1,500, Maris are 1K. Salvage Brainstorms are 1,500.
Still pretty expensive.
It's still pretty expensive. Musashis are still 2K. I'm not spending that kind of money on a deck.
You say that and you show up the Nats with it.
Outplayed once again.
Outplayed
Yep.
by card games. Card games 1, wallet 0.
Yeah, I think honestly that's basically it. I'd say like maybe Star Wars, if Star Wars was legal here in North America.
It's not legal. I don't think it's Dark Horse. I think it's just. I think
would-
most people saw what it did.
I would
I think it has
totally come in rocking that 4-color Star Wars.
Yeah, me too. I don't think like a lot of people really. I don't know about your locals and stuff, but I know like for me, I didn't really care about Star Wars because I knew we weren't going to be able to play it competitively at Nationals, so I kind of ignored it for the most part. I've only played against it once, and it was the Vader build. I haven't played against good stuff Star Wars.
Nobody at my locals paid attention to it.
We
Didn't see a reason to.
Mike Campbell bought it. He's the guy. He doesn't go to tournaments, so he just bought it because he just plays Weiss to play. He's the guy who streams Ragnarok 64. Another friend of mine bought it, and then someone else bought it, and they still haven't gotten it yet. He's actually pretty upset. He's like he's getting ready to like file a claim through PayPal because he bought a double play set, pre-ordered a double play set, and his car still haven't arrived yet. So.
Dang, Rex, where did you order it from? Singapore?
Yeah, he ordered from one of the major Singapore sellers. I forget whose name it was. It's one of the popular sellers, and like he's been sending messages and hasn't been getting responses. So he's getting ready to like file a PayPal like $1,200 claim, give me a refund back.
Whew. That's gonna be a lot of money. At least he'll be able to buy the deck in singles then easily.
Yeah, at the very least, he can buy a playset off the singles. The set probably dropped back down in price. I'm not sure if Vader's still like $50. But
I think Vader's still like in the 30s at least, right?
he was 50 at a point in time.
Was he? Oh man, I even pay attention to like on release prices other than
Vader capped out at 3,980. He's down to 3,480 now. He kept out at 3,980 like right after release, and he just sat there forever. But yeah, he's back down to 3,480 now.
So at the very least, if he like files his refund, he can like at least buy a playset and like extras of needed cards, I guess.
SP Vader actually dropped from 7,980 to 5,980, which is nice. Like R2D2 Rickies are 3K, and red early plays are like 2,500. Musashis are 1,500, sold out. The set's expensive.
Yeah,
I don't know why, but
probably just because Star Wars.
it was bigger than a 100 card set. I do believe. Like it wasn't just like a standard 100 card set.
Oh,
What's those
yeah,
sets?
it was 120.
So those sets tend to have like slightly higher prices on everything.
It was 10 double rares. I don't remember if they did 4 per box or 5 per box.
I think it was still just 4 per box. Don't quote me on that. An open sealed.
Oh man, this have we been going for almost 2 hours now? We probably should wrap it up.
Yes.
All right. I guess we'll start with Julian. If he has any shout outs or anything like that, any closing statements?
Shout out to myself. That's all I really got. You'll see me talking on Facebook, maybe, probably not. That's basically it. And still not sure when we'll play for a WGP season. Still trying to decide. You got anything, Connor?
Top 2 tiers, Strictly Broken, all the good stuff. Go check them out. Good people, except for Strictly Broken. He just makes videos.
Seems to be a lot of vlog videos now. What happened to the cards, man?
I think he posted a deck list somewhat soon, or recently.
Yeah, I think it's like his Niver.
Penguins.
Oh, penguins.
Oh yeah, that was Penguins. Yeah, of course.
Well, I guess if that's it, this is Kit signing off, guys. Hope to see you guys in the next podcast. I can't believe this took almost 2 hours. I thought this was going to be a really short 1 hour podcast, but somehow we rambled on forever. Well, if you guys like this or whatever, you want to see certain content in the future, just like, comment, subscribe, all that, and then comment below about anything you want us to discuss, anything like that, and we'll see if we can work it in or whatnot. Maybe we'll open up an email just for like random questions to answer at the end of each podcast, which could be funny. Otherwise, yeah, or maybe Twitter or something. But otherwise, I guess we'll see you next time.